particularly excited about this panel because, we are finally dissecting and getting into the details and depth of things of how really can we look at each of the sectors in the manufacturing space and enable them to achieve their true potential as been spoken. The good news is that manufacturing sector has started to finally look up. We've seen in the Q1, for example, the sector emerged out of the negative territory, where we've seen a contraction of 39% in Q1. In Q2, we actually posted a 6% growth. So this is good news, and we really want to leverage on this. This is critical and important to see how the government needs to bring down the cost of logistics and reduce power tariffs for industrial use to really make India a manufacturing hub. And I agree with him because, you want to get on to the production-linked incentive scheme with massive scale and size to manufacturing. And here is our chance. And let's not let this go. And in that context, let me bring in and welcome my panelists. The eminent panel comprises of Mr. Soumitra Bhattacharya, Managing Director, Bosch Limited and Regional President, Bosch Group in India. Mr. Ashwath Ram, Managing Director, Cummins India. Mr. Nitin Chalke, who is the President, Asia Pac Eaton Hydraulics and Vehicles Group. And Mr. Bhaskar Mandal, Head Process Industries and Drives Division, Siemens India. Gentlemen, lovely to have you on the show. Thank you very much. Each of you represent a big company which, deals and handles technology, that supports your business in a big way. And how do we now inculcate that to become better and more efficient? Really, that's where we need to focus on. Ashwath, let me come to you. India, global, you are present all around, and in fact, it's true for all the companies that are present on the panel today. I would like to get your comments and sense on how you see this whole shifting trends and each sector being able to merge to the true potential. What needs to be done? What is of paramount importance at this stage to be taken up as a step by step?
The first part, of course, is to bounce back and get back to a reasonable level of normalcy. We've undergone a period where some of our businesses have gone down by 70 or 80% in some areas, and so we've had to take all kinds of measures to manage costs, to run leaner shifts, to run our equipment in different manner. And so as we are coming out of that, as the demand is starting to scale up, we are starting to see a lot of challenges in the overall supply chain for everyone to get back to normal. So the first thing is to stabilize and get back to normal. But we have been using this time to not just sit idle. We have been using the time to continue to work on product innovation and to introduce a multiple of new products and technology. As you know, this year, BS6 was launched in India right in the middle of the pandemic, and that represents a significant upgrade to the technology of the products which were used in India as compared to where we were in the past. And using that as a benchmark, the whole other area of industrial products, of power generation products, of the whole industry is going to go through a similar transformation of newer technology and products. And we are working on getting those products into the country. In parallel, thinking 5 years and 10 years ahead, as a company, we have been making a lot of investments in the newer technologies. So we are making investments in the areas of fuel cells, hydrogen, electrification, and we have been doing that through both organic and inorganic means. Organically, we are building capability with our own people. So we have a tech center here with about 2,500 people, and slowly a bigger and bigger portion of those people are learning some of these new technologies, not just for use in India, but for use around the world. And inorganically, we are acquiring a lot of technologies which now are opening up, which allow this pandemic is allowing us to leapfrog and not wait for some of the older technologies to keep going on for a longer time. It's allowing us to leapfrog. For example, railways, for example, is moving much into electrification. And then, so this allows us to, skip that whole generation. We would have waited for 5 or 7 years. We are doing it in 2 years. So it's allowing to take a lot of global technology which is available and then accelerate the rate at which it is being used in the country, and also getting people ready to be capable of implementing and using those technologies.
Technologies, and that is the question I'm going to ask Bhaskar. The role of technology, while we all know and talk about it all the time, that that's the need of the hour, we need to inculcate technology, innovation in a big way, and so on. At Siemens, I want to understand from you, how are you actually using that, and what do you say in terms of the focus of the company going forward from here on to further invest in it, and what kind of benefits have you seen through it, while we all talk about it, but let's understand this a little better. Bhaskar.
Thanks, Swati. I hope I'm audible. Just to give it a few sentences to bring in the context, I think first and foremost, the fact that we have to improve manufacturing and take it to the next level for India, that's a must, that's a given. Now, anything that you produce, whether it's a ball bearing or an oncological pharmaceutical product, you need to have the domain expertise. So that's the first one, and I'm not going to get into that because that's the domain expertise that you need to have, the functional knowledge. But then the second piece that's important is the technology. That what are the technologies that are needed, and do we have the right technologies in India or not? And I'm going to delve a little bit into that. And the third aspect of it is, today manufacturing is an ecosystem. It's collaboration between suppliers. Some of the suppliers are even customers of the people they supply to. So it's not a chain anymore. It's a complete ecosystem that we operate in. And it's important to understand that, and hopefully we'll have some time to discuss on that also. But coming back to the technology piece, the first statement I'm going to say is manufacturing. It's not that technology would reduce complexities. Because life is getting more and more complex, but technology will help you manage these complexities. Now, what do I mean by that? Any manufacturing that you have has essentially three components. You have the product, whether it's a process or a discrete. You have the production, how you want to produce it, and then you have the performance of the product. And in each of these areas, if you look at the cutting edge technologies, whether it's Industry 4.0, edge and cloud and so on. And I'm not talking about the big boys or the big girls. I'm talking about the SMEs and MSMEs, how technology in India is today available. And I think that's the major game changer from about 10 or 15 years ago. Today, for example, for companies like Siemens, we are introducing technologies simultaneously in the Western world as well as in India. So whether it be let's say a digital twin. Digital twin is nothing but a virtual product that you prepare in advance of the real production, and that helps you. Those simulation, those testing, the commissioning virtually helps you simulate or get to a market faster the product. Now, what am I trying to say? Domain expertise, functional expertise is a given. You have to know whether you want to make a ball bearing or an oncological product. Coming to the technology piece, all the suites of technology, be it software, be it hardware, the leading edge technologies are all available here. How will this work? This has to work in an ecosystem. That means, the suppliers of technology, people like us, and the consumer, or let's say the people who are producing it, the manufacturers, the factories. We all have to, and of course, to a certain extent, it goes into an end user. The business models are all changing. Just give you one example. Yesterday, I was in a global panel discussion with just to take a brand, SKF, and it was the CTO of Global, and she said we are moving from selling ball bearings to reliable rotation. So you see, the whole concept is changing. You are getting into the shoes of your customer and getting into that value chain. I think somebody spoke about the value chain. You have to see where the value chain is and how do I get the best out of it. So that's my short take on it, Swati.
Okay, fair enough. Points taken, sir. And that's important coming from your expertise in this space and how you're using this tool. As you said, complexities will continue, but you can handle things better with technology. That's critical. Nitin, let me come to you. When we were talking of this whole push towards manufacturing, making India a manufacturing base for the world and so on, what in your mind is actually stopping India from doing so? What are some of the key challenges that you face, and are they really insurmountable? And what, to your mind, is the biggest hurdle that's coming in? Is it regulatory in nature, or is it really self-regulation, or at the OEM level, there could be some changes that can be brought about? What do you think?
Past many years to become a very important part of the global value chain. Many MNCs are already present in India. Many Indian companies are also exporting their products and solutions in a big way to the outside world. So we are not really isolated from the global value chain. And a lot of good work has already happened in India to become a manufacturing hub. Having said that, we have to acknowledge that our share as a part of GDP, the manufacturing as part of GDP is still about 15 to 17%, much less than what you see in countries like industrialized countries like China, Korea, and similar countries which have really grown significantly over a period of time and have a head start over us. And we really need to look at how to catch up and be at par with them. So that's going to be the challenge which India has to overcome. So far, have really helped India to remain competitive in the global playing field. The new production linked incentives, the PLIs, I would expect would also keep India's competitiveness going. We also have to keep in mind opportunity in front of us now because of this COVID pandemic. Most of the companies, most of the industries and sectors are looking at redefining their value chain, their supply chains. And as they start doing that and start looking at alternative options to their established value chains, there is going to be tremendous opportunity for country like India to really start playing big. We do have distinct advantages. We have a young, energetic, engaged labor force. English as a language, being a spoken language in business is a big plus as we start looking at exporting. And we have our domestic market, and we can build on it to create scale for our businesses so that the businesses start becoming bigger and more competitive. So that's what I believe India has to offer. The challenges we have to overcome is, first of all, looking at the whole infrastructure. I guess that's a big challenge we have now. It pushes up the logistics cost. Sure. The cost and fragmentation of transportation and logistics is still very costly and slow in India. To give you an example, in my Asia Pacific business, a few years ago we moved a factory in near close to the city in China to about 1,200 kilometers away from the main city. But with the high-speed train connectivity and the road, we can cover that distance in 3.5 hours. And putting up a factory 1,200 kilometers away from the main city becomes possible. I wish if India can really do develop infrastructure like that, we can really decongest our cities and also take advantage of being more competitive on the cost side. Along with that, there are challenges on investments in R&D. Our investments in R&D are still not at a global level, and policy decisions on taxes and customs. Some of the decisions taken recently are encouraging, but we need to do more of that. So those are some of the challenges I would spell out, Swati.
All right, infrastructure, some R&D spends, and as you said, we need to also focus a lot on, giving some kind of benefits as we go along. It is definitely, as you pointed out, is working on it. Ashwath, could you give us your own examples of how you've dealt in a market like India, which is supposed to be, as everyone talks about it, calls it one of the most complex, challenging markets to deal with. At least at some point, people would say this. How have you been able to make some wins here?
So we have always believed in India, and like Mr. Bhattacharya said, we don't consider ourselves an international company with a presence in India. We consider ourselves an Indian company which has global oversight. And because of that, we have invested in India over many years, and we have some great advantages we have created over the years in terms of scale, in terms of capacity, in terms of quality, in terms of cost. And when you combine all of those things together, it gives us tremendous advantage even when we compete with folks from China, or especially advantages when we compare to North America or Europe. And we have used those advantages to be able to export our product from India to many of those markets. And even now, even as the situation gets barriers get tighter and tighter around the world, we are still able to export because we are providing products which give them some value. There is no entitlement, right? We have a better product which is got better quality and a lower cost. Then markets are easy to open up. But one of the things I would like to say is that we struggle quite a lot on India not being open to many free trade agreements. And it serves as a little bit of a barrier for us. And I think many times we in India feel that we need those barriers to protect ourselves from competition. And what we have found is that when we open ourselves to trade, when we open ourselves to competition, we actually do better. We get if they have access to our markets, then we get access to their markets. And I can tell you, India is one of the most cost competitive markets in the world. And if we can succeed over here, it actually makes it very straightforward and easy to sell products into the global market. And that's been our experience. And we have done it multiple times over the years, and will continue to do so in the future.
All right, so the export bit is interesting to note, and trade barriers, I agree with you. Lots of work I think the government is already doing on it. There is Commerce Ministry constantly coming up, reviewing this, and I'm sure this point will be taken up as well. Nitin, or maybe Bhaskar first, one talks about design innovation as a very important element of the core value adding aspect. Now, tell us your experience and how India is poised right now. I mean, until very recently, we've started to sort of give some emphasis to design and innovation bits. And we've realized the results have been amazing when you focus on these things, because that's the emerging trend globally and in India. What's been your sense, and where do we stand as a country when it comes to design innovation features, providing as a core value? And how much headway do we have to grow from here?
It's one of my passion areas. Just to give you my perspective, first of all, let me say many companies have so-called, a founder syndrome. So you start a company and then you succeed and you go on and you forget to innovate. So for me, innovation isn't offensive. Unless you innovate, you will die. That's a given. Let me give you a few examples. Maybe I start with Siemens. We are all proud that one of the largest R&D centers outside of Germany is in India. So India is considered a hub for innovation coming out for the global world of Siemens, and particularly in the world of OT and software. Now, having said that, there are numerous examples, and I agree completely with Soumitra when he said that look at the glass half full and not half empty, because there's still so much that we can do on the basis of your functional expertise and technology. And if I can give you a couple of examples, first is in the automotive world, there's a company called Hirotech India, and they are into the closure assembly, the automotive people would understand, and hemming technology, doors, hoods, tail lamps, etc. And they not just sell in India, they provide internationally with digital solutions that boost productivity, transparency, safety, etc. They were able to reduce their engineering time from 30 days to 12 days. 15% reduction in cost savings, 10% reduction in development time. So, they've become a leading player in terms of supplying out of India. The second one is a company called Adverb. And here we work together with them. They're a startup company out of India, about 4 years old in the warehousing management. And they have an integrated, again, a digitalized. So using technology, they've increased efficiency by 50%. Reducing commissioning times from more than 12 months to less than 6 months, designing a dark warehouse virtually before, kind of commissioning it. And the last example let me give, which is a name we hear. It's a global example, but nevertheless, a name that we have heard very recently. That's BioNTech. The one famous now for introducing the COVID vaccine in the UK along with Pfizer. Now, you may not know, BioNTech is actually also making customized single lot size cancer drugs. So cancer drugs which are optimized, so one lot, batch size of one. Now you can imagine when you get into such kind of production, how important is technology to manage not just your resources, but also your production, your quality, your documentation. These are immense challenges. Now, all these technologies that I spoke about, they're all available here now in India. And they are, and the couple of examples that I gave from India, they're also, SMEs. So the point I'm trying to make is availability of high-end technology is not necessarily expensive, because the value that you create for yourself, and somebody spoke about export and quality requirements, etc., the kind of value that you can create using your functional expertise and technology, I would go to say that there is no boundary in terms of dreaming, thinking, and implementing for an Indian entrepreneur.
Okay, significant investments coming in, end-to-end value chain. All right, gentlemen, thank you.